Our chronological Bible reading for October 29th is John chapter 11, the raising of Lazarus. Jesus is getting more and more followers. People who had followed John recognized that John never performed miracles, but he prophesied about Jesus, and now they're saying everything this man had said about Jesus, we are seeing with our own eyes and we are believing it to be true. In this story, we see the depth of love Jesus has for his friends. He is 2 days journey away from where Lazarus and his sisters were. And scripture says he loved Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. And so, therefore, because of his love for them, when he heard the news that Lazarus was sick, he stayed 2 more days. The divine love that Jesus had for his dearest friends is in stark contrast to the type of love we see today. Jesus wanted his friends to experience the pain and loss associated with losing someone in their family due to an untimely sickness. He wanted them to suffer not because he was a sadist, but because he understood that going through that suffering in order to see God ultimately glorified in the resurrection of Lazarus, they would be better off. They were going to grow in their understanding and relationship with God as a result of this suffering. Therefore, Jesus didn't want to rush to them and alleviate them from that pain. This is what true godly love is. It's for the benefit of the person, not just for their comfort. It's for their long-term strengthening and maturity, not for their instant gratification. Jesus loved them enough to not be there in the midst of their trial and suffering, even though he understood it was likely going to result in their implicating him, even though he knew that when he did arrive to do the work God had called him to do, they were going to blame him and say things like, Lord, if you had been here, if you had come when we called you, this wouldn't have happened. True godly love glorifies God by letting God accomplish his purpose, regardless of what it does to our own reputation. 2 days after receiving the news that Lazarus was sick, Jesus says to the disciples, all right, let's go now to Judea. They don't want to go because they know that the Pharisees are trying to kill Jesus, and it's too close to Jerusalem. They'll be going near the lion's den. And Jesus is saying we need to go in order that God will be glorified. This is the will of the Father. And while many of them were scared, Thomas, who is called the twin, says, let's go too, that we might die with him. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote, when Christ calls a man, he bids him to come and die. Thomas here is modeling for us what our faith should look like. Let us go with Jesus wherever he's going, that we might die with him. Let's leave our own plans behind and do what he's calling us to do. Let's stop worrying about our own livelihood and our own reputations. Let's stop being focused on our own dreams and desires and start doing only what God has called us to do. Let's not worry about cultural norms any longer. Let's not worry about what other believers or our family members might think. Let's do what God is calling us to do. When Jesus arrives at Bethany, he finds that Lazarus has been asleep or dead for 4 days. Martha comes to meet him, and you can hear the faith in her words and the sorrow as she says to Jesus, if you had been here, Lord, my brother would still be alive. Yet even now I know that whatever you ask from God, he will do for you. She didn't come out and say it, but we all know what she was thinking, what she was hoping for. It seems ridiculous. It seems impossible. My brother's been gone for 4 days, yet Lord, I know if you were to pray, if you were to ask God to raise him from the dead, to give me my brother back, I know that God the Father would listen to you. In verse 27, Martha gives us one of the plainest and clearest confessions of faith in Jesus being the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And then she goes to get her sister. Mary comes to meet Jesus, and when she sees him, she falls at his feet, and she says almost verbatim what Martha had said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." It was both a profession of faith and an accusation of sorts. Why weren't you here? Jesus is moved to tears, and he's so impacted that he groans deeply. The Greek word there gives the picture of an angry horse snorting with rage. It seems to indicate that Jesus is even angry. So often sadness and anger are linked. Was he sad for the loss of Lazarus? Was he sad because of what Martha and Mary were feeling? Was he sad because of their accusations and their lack of understanding? Was he righteously indignant that they were accusing him even though he was in the perfect will of God? It shows us that deep emotion is not bad. It's how we react that can get us into trouble. Jesus reacted by saying, "Roll away the stone." Martha says, "Lord, there's going to be a bad smell. He's been in there for 4 days." Wasn't she the one who was just saying moments before, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would still be alive, and yet I know God will grant you whatever you ask"? Jesus said, "Didn't you hear me the first time when I said, if you believe, you will see the glory of God? Lazarus, come out." Lazarus comes from the grave wrapped in the grave clothes. Jesus says, "Untie him and let him go." And the Jews, because he raised a man from the dead, plotted to kill him. We just read yesterday where Jesus said that if somebody came back from the dead, those who reject Moses, the law, and the prophets will not believe, even one who is raised from the dead. And now we are seeing it. What Jesus was saying as an object lesson has now been fulfilled in real life. He raises a man from the dead, and instead of believing, these people whose hearts are so hard plot to kill him. This should most certainly revolutionize the way we share the gospel. As we said in yesterday's teaching, we are not to cast our pearls before swine. We are not begging people to come into the faith. We are not lowering the bar to entry to make it easier for them. We are just looking for those who are looking for us. We are just searching for those who are searching for truth. May God bless you as you consider these things. May he fill you with his Spirit and give you all understanding. See you tomorrow.